AITA for wanting a divorce when my wife said she was tempted to cheat on me? For background, I'm 33M, and my wife, Kate, 32F, have been married for 8 years. We have one child, M3, who was unplanned but not unwelcome. When my wife found out that she was pregnant, it obviously came as a surprise to us. She had been taking birth control ever since we started dating, since we agreed that we were not financially ready to have a kid. However, after being married for 5 years and advancing our careers, we felt like we could make it work. Thus, we decided to keep the child, and began planning for the next phase of our lives. Prior to Kate getting pregnant, she worked as a waitress at a local restaurant, making just above minimum wage once tips were factored in. On the other hand, I am a construction worker who made 2 to 3 times more than her at the time. We lived in a decent apartment, but we agreed that we would need a real house to have the space for our child, so we began looking for our first home. During that process, and as Kate's pregnancy went further along, she quit her job to focus on preparing for the baby. We found a house that we liked, but it was more expensive than I was hoping for. I make good money working construction, but having to fund 2 people, a new mortgage, and buy all the supplies a baby needs is not easy. I began putting in more hours at work to be able to afford everything, resulting in me being able to spend less time at home with my wife. The baby finally comes, and he's a healthy little boy. I couldn't be more proud, but once he was born, Kate began to change. She was more tired and stressed, having to care for a newborn, which I don't blame her at all for. I know kids are a lot of work. I essentially had to raise my little brother, who was 10 years younger than me growing up. However, Kate would also complain that I wasn't around very often, and that when I was home, I wouldn't help with the baby as much as she thought I should. I explained to her that to be able to afford the house, the baby, and the 2 of us by myself, I had to put a lot of extra hours in, and when I come home every day, I am exhausted. I lift heavy shit for a living. I'm lucky to be able to make it through the day without my back being terribly sore. Still, I tried to help out more. I changed diapers where I could, fed the baby where I could, etc. The one thing I refused to do was get up in the middle of the night, which is something I know upsets her. My reasoning is that I'm barely getting 5 hours of sleep a night, and if I get any less, I'm going to be an utter wreck on the job. If that happens and I get less hours, or even get fired, we're financially screwed. As time went on, we kept making it work, and eventually things get less crazy and stressful. The older the kid gets, the less constant attention and work he needs from us. That's not saying caring for a toddler is easy, but it's easier than caring for an infant who can't sleep through the night. 2 months ago, Kate suggested that she get a regular job again, and that we use the extra income to pay for a nanny, and in general help with the expenses. I agreed, because I was exhausted and the idea of being able to put in less overtime sounded great. Fast forward to last night, and Kate has been working as a cashier for 6 weeks now. We've hired a nanny, and the money situation isn't nearly as tight. I was able to work less, though with Kate working now, I'm not able to see her in the mornings, which is usually when I would see her due to how my shifts work. I thought things were going great, until Kate sits me down last night to have a conversation. She admitted to me that there's a guy at her work who's been flirting with her, despite knowing she's married. He's funny, easygoing, handsome, etc. She said that he asked if she was available to go on a date behind my back, and though she said no, she was sorely tempted to say yes. This blindsided me then, but now that I've had a day to think about it, I think I can see how this happened. She was always upset that I wasn't home very often, wasn't there to help and support her with the kid, and so on. Our current arrangement allowed me to have more energy when I came home, but since she leaves for work in the morning before I wake up, the actual duration of time I see her each day has shrunk even further. I think that the reason she was tempted by this guy at work is that he's giving her the attention she wants from me. I can understand that, but it also pissed me off. Frankly, I've been busting my ass for 3 years to afford our child, the house she wanted, and her ability to be a stay-at-home mom. I've been working 10 or 12-hour days 6 days a week to afford this, and she's tempted by some guy at work after knowing him for 6 weeks. I felt betrayed, more than I ever have before. I asked to see her phone, and she gave it to me without resistance. I went through all her contacts, deleted messages, everything, and didn't find anything suspicious. I don't believe that she actually cheated and is only pretending to be tempted to, but I suppose it's possible. She seemed genuinely remorseful during our conversation, but that didn't make it feel any better. I told her in the heat of the moment that I want a divorce, and this caused her to break down in tears and beg me to stay. She asked if I would tear our family apart over just the idea of her cheating, and I threw her words back in her face and said I was sorely tempted. I then went to bed and ignored her attempts to get me to talk, since I had work today, the work that has kept our family afloat for the last 3 years, and more if you want to count the 5 years I spent making 3 times more than her. I thought about this all day today, and I'm not sure what to do. I can't get over the idea of my wife wanting to cheat with the first man she spent any extended time within 3 years. She asked me if I was going to throw it all away over a feeling, but she was going to do the same damn thing with guy from work. She's angry that I got angry at her in the moment, but I think I have good reason to be furious. AITAH. Edit. After reading through many of the comments here, I've decided that I'm going to have a thorough conversation with my wife before taking any harsh action like divorce. I feel, or maybe I just hope, that there's still a chance for us to be happy and healthy together, despite everything that's happened. For starters, I'm going to tell her how I truly feel about all this, not just what I was thinking in the heat of the moment when she told me about what happened with the guy from work. It fucking hurts to know that my wife was sorely tempted by some stranger she met 6 weeks ago after being married for 8 years and having a son together. I've busted my ass literally and figuratively to be able to afford everything, and I feel like she hasn't been appreciating that. I understand that she's been busy at home taking care of the kid, but if we were to trade jobs for a day, I highly suspect she would change her tune regarding the division of work and effort that we've been putting in. Also, I plan to tell her that I want her to quit her job immediately. Even if she wasn't tempted at all, I don't want her around the type of scumbag man to take advantage of married women. If she doesn't agree to this, then I will have to assume that there's more between and guy at work than she's letting on. Lastly, I want to discuss what needs to be done done in our relationship to mend it at this point. As many commenters have pointed out, she's almost certainly feeling lonely and neglected with how little time we get to spend together, but I'm not sure how we can improve that while maintaining our current lifestyle. If I'm going to be supporting our family on my own, then I simply won't have time to spend with her during the week. A few commenters suggested she get a job with hours that align with mine so that we're home at the same time, and honestly, that sounds like it could be a partial solution to this. Even if it's just a few hours a day where we can both be home, and I'm not falling over tired, it would be better than what we have now. And as she slowly gets raises and promotions, I'll be able to work less and devote more time to her and our son. I'll probably update this post tomorrow once we have that conversation, but for now, I need to get to sleep. Thank you everyone for all the feedback and advice, truly.